welcome back to episode
8.
8.
Episode 8 of Chocolate or Poo. That is going to fall over on
The
me.
podcast.
The podcast. This is, I think it's about to fall over on me.
Is it chocolate or is it poo?
Yes. You decide.
Well,
and always
yes.
remember,
Don't forget to flush.
Yes, very important.
Timing.
Hello. It's good to see you again, Kevin.
Good to see you again, Eamon.
Chinkity chinkies.
Indeed.
Clinkety clinks with the old cups. Yes. It's very good. Very good. This is, I don't know, we're just having a chat today.
We are. We've done very little prep work.
Yeah,
I have no sheets of news to beguile you. Is that a word?
That is chocolate, by the way. He has no prep work done at all. And it is beguile. Yes, beguile.
Yes. Beguile. I love that word.
I love that. I love beguile.
It's a beautiful word.
Beautiful.
I love words that you don't use very often, but then you discover them and you're like, I do know what that word is. I've used it before, but then it's
one of my favourites. I think will be balderdash.
Balderdash. Balderdash. That means poppycock.
Poppycock and balderdash, because it reminds me of that great comedy Blackadder Goes Forth.
I've only seen bits of Blackadder.
But this is the World War One episodes. You know, the one where he's set during the trenches of World War One.
Yeah, I think the ones I watched was set way back during was it the French times or
the
1800s
the death of Louis XVI. Yeah, it was set in those kind of time period. Yeah, it was. He was a butler.
Was he?
Yeah, he was a butler for like the Prince of Wales.
Something. Yeah.
He was brilliant. Yeah.
Ron Atkinson is a legend. Brilliant. Very smart man.
Yes.
Mr. Bean obviously is what he's mostly known for. And as he was Q for a while in the James Bond films, or Q's assistant in a few of the Pierce Brosnan Bonds, I think. Correct us if we're wrong or if I'm wrong.
I can't remember now. I think he actually might have been.
I think he was.
Yeah.
I think. I'm not 100%.
I know he did the Johnny English movies for pretend his own version of James Bond, Johnny English.
The best bit, I think it was John English too. Shout out to David on this one. We went to see it in the cinema. It was feckin' awesome. No cursing. And he was on the airplane and a bad guy just knocked out an air stewardess and stole her name badge to steal the briefcase that John English had. And her name badge said Susan, and he was an Asian man. And he came up and he was, can I take your briefcase for you, John English, whatever. And John English was like, oh yes. And then the chap that was beside him, John English is
Boff.
Was that his name? Was it the black guy? Yeah.
Oh no, not the black guy.
Okay.
It was the
so maybe it was number 2.
Or maybe it was number 2. It wasn't the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the first one, his assistant was Boff. Oh. Because that came from a Barclay card. The whole Johnny English thing came from a Barclay card. Go on anyway, about Susan. Yeah.
So Johnny English was handing over the briefcase to this Susan, who was a man. Yeah. And your man, his sidekick, was just like, I don't think he should be given that. Look at his name tag. And then Johnny English looks at the name tag and looks at the man, realises he's Asian. And then he says, oh, it's fine. That is a dialect in Mandarin or China or something like that. It's Shushan. Shushan. Thank you, Shushan. I just thought that was brilliant. Sorry. But yeah.
My favourite Rowan Atkinson bit was that Blackadder Goes Forth, and they got Stephen Fry to play General. It wasn't General Melcher. It was a General something or other. Anyway. Yeah. But he was the in charge. General in charge.
Twist my mustache.
Yeah. Send a battalion over the top. All this kind of thing. And he says to him, sir, we've got the map of the front lines, and he rolls it out, and it's just a flat grey or kind of khaki coloured piece of paper. By God, it's a bleak wilderness out there, isn't it? He goes, actually no, so you haven't turned it the wrong way around. You had to turn it upside down. And he's just like, okay, yes. And then he was on the phone. He was on the phone to Field Marshal Haig. Now, Field Marshal Haig was the man in charge of the British Army in France at the time. And he's on the phone, and he says, I need you to get me out because we're going over the top tomorrow, and I need you to do me a favour. I saved you on our expeditions in Africa, like this. And he's on the phone, and your man's on the phone, and he has all these little toy soldiers on a table, and he just goes, yes. And you can see he's strategizing. He pulls out a dustpan and brush and goes, shh, and just throws them over his shoulder. Whole battalion, wow, just gone, Jesus Christ.
Oh, there we go. This is just this episode, as we said, is very much unprepared.
I had not prepared to talk about that.
Ill-timed and unprepared.
I just kept when I said Balderdash, it reminded me of Baldric, and that reminded me of Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah. Well, we thought this episode could just be purely us venting, and
a bit of banter,
it has been a long week. In the health sector, which is where we work. Now we are frontline staff.
We are, yes.
But I don't think. When I think of frontline, I think more of the nurses and the.
I think the nurses and the doctors. I'm going to have a little chocolate.
Yes, that was going to be my next point. We have a lovely, it's only one type of nice treat. It's chocolate biscuit cake. So
we
deserve
it.
We deserve it. We've earned this.
But yeah, you're right. It's been a very hard week. I wouldn't consider, like I said, I consider doctors and nurses and ambulance men and all that kind of thing to be very frontline. But we are, intimately involved in the healthcare.
Yeah.
But
we did stop working when lockdown kicked in and stuff. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, bar us taking time out when we had our babies. Well, when our wives had our babies.
Hey, I had the baby just as much as she did. I had to stand there and wait in my car outside the hospital for 10 hours. Do you know how long you can sit and listen to the radio or read a book for 10 hours while drinking takeaway coffee from a petrol station? It's not easy.
It's not easy, no.
Anyway, the one thing I did want to talk with you about was something that kind of, I don't know if I've ever said this before, but you know the way I was saying when I drive to work, it takes me an hour to get here. From home, to work, and it takes me an hour to get there. And I do listen to news talk radio. Now I like RTE 1 when I'm driving sometimes because I actually get the factual news, and it's boring as a cup of tea, but it's but it's 100% factual. And I think that the point about that is that they have very few shows on RTE1 that are actually opinion broadcasts. Yeah. They generally tend to be, this is what the Northern Ireland Health Minister said about their hospital capacity. This is now the Northern Ireland Minister, we're going to interview him, and this is, and you're left to make up your own conclusions and decisions about whether you think it's right or wrong, whatever. With News Talk, it tends to be more, the two hosts will give you their opinion and they'll interview people as well. And it tends to be like a little espresso coffee shop of just in the morning, because it irritates the Jesus out of me. And one thing that irritated me, and I had to have a laugh at it, was they were talking about how 17 and 18-year-olds now, they didn't get a chance to do their Leaving Cert. They won't even get a shift. And now they have to go to college and do it remotely. That entire generation is going to be affected for years to come. And I was thinking to myself, what about the kids in England during World War II that had to be put on a train by their parents and said, bye, out to the countryside. Hopefully mommy and daddy won't get firebombed tonight and we'll maybe see you in 3 years. I mean, these guys, it's a pandemic that's been on for 8 months. It's not like the fucking world has come to an end for them.
No, absolutely. But I suppose it's to take it into context of what's relative to the young then. What was important to the young then was taken away. What's important to the young now is being taken away. Yeah. So as much as we could say that what was valuable then is like, nothing now. And what's valuable now is like, come on, you serious? Back then, people didn't have fucking food. They went with days without food, maybe.
I mean, they were rationing in England until the 1950s. And the thing is, they were talking about the socialization, that these kids are these teenagers now and young adults are missing out on socialization and all this kind of thing. They won't get to go to a nightclub. They won't get to interact with their peers and members of the opposite sex and all this. Yeah. And I'm like, it's a 9-month period of their life. I mean, in fairness, it's not that bad. I don't know. I just got.
I had a conversation earlier today with someone who's was chatting about Christmas time, and we're coming up to Christmas. What, we're 6 weeks?
This is what, the 13th of November.
So we're about 6 weeks out for Christmas, and at the minute Ireland is in level 5 of lockdown. So we have a level of 1 to 5. 1 being the most.
Just be careful, wash your hands, and
social distance. You can still travel outside your county. You can still visit friends. Just there are light restrictions, and now we're in level 5 because obviously they weren't working level 2 or 3 or 4, and now we're the heaviest of the levels. And it basically means all non-essential trade and shops and stuff closes. All non-essential travel is stopped.
Only essential workers get to go.
Yeah. But basically, what does that mean then for Christmas? You have Tony Houlihan coming out saying that we shouldn't be having office parties, we shouldn't be having large family gatherings, which I would completely agree with, because you have to take it in one hand that if we don't do it now, we'll have to do it further down the line, and it'll just keep kicking the can. If we go through the hard times now, I know it's Christmas is a lovely time, I love Christmas as well, but the longer we argue and just don't get on with actually doing what we need to do to get rid of COVID, the longer we're going to be suffering for it. People are going to be complaining now if it keeps going on into the summer. Or this is the second summer now in a row that we haven't been able to go on holidays and all this kind of stuff. Look, I know it's tough for a lot of people. Family time at Christmas is one of the biggest times of the year for people to come home as well. The Irish abroad that we talk about.
I listened to that same radio program was talking about kids were saying that don't book your holidays. That it wouldn't be a good idea. They're talking about you'd have to pay for a COVID test at the airport, and that there's loads of kids in that who would work or study abroad. Let's say Scotland and the UK. I mean, a lot of Irish people go to Scotland or parts of the UK to study nursing or whatever else. And I mean, that's fine. Our education system is really good that the UK universities are like, oh, you have a Leaving Cert degree? Yeah, you're Leaving Cert, come on over and we'll take you into our college there. So they can't get home either. And I look, it's to be honest with you, I still see people not wearing masks. I still see people standing too close to each other. It's still, you know, the numbers of sick people have gone down, but it was still 370 something yesterday.
It's still a decent
that's
people.
You know, I mean, I know it was 1,200, and you're talking about that's about 800 odd or 700 plus change or 800 less in a day. But I mean, we've been locked up now for what, 2 weeks, nearly 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This is what, week 3.
We're going into week 3, I think. Yeah.
Because it's the 4th of December.
We're halfway through it, so sorry, it is 3
This is the 3rd week, and the numbers have only gone down by 800. It should be down lower than that.
Yeah.
And they're not. It's still 300 plus a day.
Yeah.
So within 5 days, that's 1,500 or 16, 1,700. It's still, you know.
And the health experts are saying that if the curve continues to go down as it is at the minute, we should be able to reopen some things at Christmas time. But it should be done at a limited capacity that, you know, people can go to a family home maybe to share Christmas with other family members. But it's still, there should be a cap on it, and there will be. Obviously, there will be, but it's just.
You know, I think they'll be politically pragmatic enough to say, like, you know, we just go home. Like, I mean, like, take from Mike for example. Go visit your brothers and his wife and their 2 kids and bring your parents with you.
Yeah.
I think they'll be like, if you have 8 or 9 people in the house with a couple of kids, you'll be fine.
You'd be okay.
I think they will do that.
They'll have to. I think they will have to do something.
Politically, politically and economically, they'll have to reopen up because. They'll lose the next election if they don't, and like I said, 100,000 people are unemployed. Yeah,
literally overnight became unemployed.
Yeah.
The other side of it was I was listening to another radio show that we both enjoy listening to. We like to say it. I know we're not getting sponsored or anything to say it. It's on Today FM. It's Matt Cooper, the last word. I find that very good.
I do. Like I said, I do like listening to News Talk, RT1 and Matt Cooper.
Yeah,
because I flick through them sometimes because
I think it's brilliant.
If one radio station is talking too much about that, you know. About the Leo Varadkar sharing a document with a doctor. I mean, I've heard too much about it now that I'm just like, both radio stations are playing it all going to Matt Cooper.
Yes, but he had I think it was either the president or the head of the Irish Fitness Association of the pubs, basically. So he was saying that, you know, if you look at the numbers of when COVID started between now, you know, wet pubs, as we hate calling them. I mean, you've had this conversation before on this podcast and on. I know. Anyway, a traditional pub that doesn't serve food, basically. They've been closed since the start of all of this, since March. And if you then obviously take into consideration that they haven't provided any of the numbers, okay, that's a fair point. However, the numbers probably would have been fucking way more if they had been open. You know, like he was arguing the point that we should be allowed open because our members have done everything they can. We haven't been involved in any of the increases in the numbers or any of the numbers because we've been closed. But that's fine. But if you were open, there'd be twice as many. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things of like, you're saying we're a pub. We've been closed since March. We haven't contributed to any of the numbers. No, but every business every restaurant that has had people in them, every shop that has had people shoulder to shoulder have contributed to it. What do people do in pubs? They sit together in close proximity with no mask, drinking alcohol, shouting and roaring at each other. That's, you know. So,
and if you think about it though, if you open up the pubs, the wet pubs again, closer to Christmas, you're going to have people, going out for their few Christmas drinks,
packed in there,
and then it's going to be a turnaround then and say, sure, come on back to my house. You'll have an increase of people wanting to continue the party, because if they do open the wet pubs, they'll probably have a curfew of 11, as they did on level 3 when we were able to eat. What was it, level 2? When we were allowed to eat inside. Remember, I was at my mate's stag and they made those lovely t-shirts.
That was level 2, yeah.
That was level 2. Yeah, I know they were savage.
Those t-shirts.
I must bring it in and show you. I still have it at home. But,
you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. We were called the Moby Dicks. It's another story. But,
it's a whole other story.
Yeah, but we were in a certain pub and we've talked about it already. In where I live and you're from, with High, and we weren't comfortable at all. You know, we were there for probably about an hour and 3/4. We should have only been there for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We were moved from an upstairs space that we booked to a downstairs area where it was packed. And it was table service, which is fine, but when we were leaving, sure, everybody was walking from table to table. There was no social distancing. There was everyone was on top of each other. And it was just,
this is why like viruses work with human beings. We're social animals and we touch our faces. I mean, me and you in the last 2 minutes have been touching our faces constantly. I mean, you touch your face 15 minutes out of every hour.
Yeah.
That's how viruses get around, and they love the fact that we're mammals, because mammals love spending time together. We love snuggling up to each other. We love spending time with each other.
Yeah.
And if anything to go by, we love shouting and roaring and talking very loudly. So yes. You can't see that on camera, but I am sharing my sentiments with him. But yeah, so look, I mean that's what's going to happen. Yeah. But yeah, I just thought that whole thing of 17-year-olds, they can't even get the shift. I was thinking to myself, going, I was an awkward, overweight with glasses, 17-year-old. It took me a while to get a shift too, and there was no fucking pandemic. Like, so they'll be okay. They can live with a 9-month price.
But the Amons of the 17-year-olds at the moment.
Yeah.
What about the Amons, Eamon?
Yeah, look at me. I had a lot of dry spells when I was 17. Okay, they can, it lasted longer.
Still does.
It lasted longer than 9 months. You teenagers can suck it up, like, and just get on with it.
There's a GA.
Builds character.
Yes, clearly. Is that what you call it?
That's what you call it. Why is one arm bigger than the other?
That episode of Family Guy when you know where we're going with this, where Quagmire discovered porn online, and then Quagmire, we haven't seen you for days. Where have you been? His arm is like a fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger arm.
You porn? He's like, what? You porn? What's that? Like, no, I've never heard of it. Do you remember when he found Tinder?
Yeah, Tinder. Tinder presses. Don't get me on my Smeagol impression.
I still think Big Mouth is the best though. Touch yourself, Kevin. Do it.
You saints of the trailer for it was what got me with the little Jewish kid with the glasses was staying over at his friend's house, and the hormone monster came in. And he goes, "Oh, look at that clock! Oh yeah, it was like it was a picture of his granny or something." He goes, "Oh no, don't!" And then obviously got the wretch. He goes, "Do it!" And then he did it, and then he was like, "Goodbye, you."
Knights of
Columbia.
That was actually a movie with Michael Caine. He was doing the Cider House Rules, I think. Was it the Cider House Rules? It was something about an orphanage, and it was Michael Caine ran the orphanage, and he goes, "Good night, you princes of Maine."
Yes.
You something. I can't remember the speech. Somebody write that down in the comment section.
What's his face in that film? Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire. Is he in that?
Oh God, I don't know now. It's a possibility. He might be. Yeah.
Just when we were talking earlier about Rowan Atkinson, remember the first Mr. Bean movie?
Yeah. And
he was finally in America, and then he waved at your man on the motorbike, and the motorcycle man just went, and he goes,
to everyone. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was the best one. That was like it was Whistler's mother or something. That was a brilliant movie.
It was very funny. I loved it. The second one was okay. The only funny bit I can really remember was where he was using matchsticks to keep his eyelids open. So when he was driving.
That was the little kid.
He was in France.
France and he had to get a kid back to his father or something.
Which one that was in that the first Dan? Oh, that film. With Tom Hanks. Angels and Demons. No, that's the second one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, one of the Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code. It's the first
one.
one.
Yes, I remember your one. The French policeman. Yeah. Very cool. Dude, we're really going down the rabbit hole.
That's what this episode is. We've no prep on.
No prep done at all.
We've.
So I mean, I've told you what bugged me this morning was hearing about like teenagers won't be getting a ride like everyone else.
I was getting onto something about that. Sorry, there's a guy out at the minute about the minor football league or whatever. This is.
The prime of your life. You can't even get this shift. Yeah, and the thing was, the senator quoted that. That's where that came from this morning. Like that's why it was on my head.
Seriously, I quote Leo Varadkar on this, not word for word, but I'll surmise what he said. He in the Dáil he was chatting and saying, look, when Footmouth hit the UK years ago, Ireland. We told the people not to come home, and Footmouth never came into Ireland. Now, obviously, he's not comparing Footmouth to COVID. In a way, he is, but in a way, he's not, because he's just saying, "Look, we did it then; it worked." Yeah,
look, sacrifices have been made, and being told, telling people, spend Christmas at home. Christmas, and to be honest with you, it's kind of like that thing about that movie with me and you were always memeing it. You know, the one with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh,
Django Unchained.
Django, is it Django Unchained?
Yeah.
Oh, the one where he's like.
Yeah, he's like
this guy.
No, the one where he's like, that's Django Unchained.
Django Unchained, yeah.
He had a really hard time being racially offensive to the two to Samuel L. Jackson and what's the name of the other fella who played Django?
I can see his head, his face. Sugar. He's a singer as well, apparently. He won his Oscar for. He played your man, the blind singer, Ray Charles.
Yeah, but anyway, him. Yes. He had a hard time insulting the two of them, as Quentin Tarantino drops the N-bomb in every single movie, and he had a hard time. The two boys came up to him and were like, "Dude, it's just another Tuesday. I know you're not a bigot. It's just another Tuesday. Get on with it, And where was I going with that point? Yeah, it kind of reminds me about Christmas. Christmas is just another Tuesday. Get on with it. We can have a party in January, like you know.
We can make up for it at the time. Are we really going to be that hard done by just because we can't?
Okay, some people, you might like if you're 40 and you're coming home to see your 80-year-old parent who with dementia in an old folks' home.
That's a bit different.
But again, that's where the hard sacrifice comes into it. But
take it.
You're grand. You can eat it. You pig out on the weekend.
Okay. I do pig out on the weekend.
And I really shouldn't be. So So that was what burned my derriere today. What about you? Anything that you like? Just like what grinds your gears? Do you want to? I mean, don't.
I'm not going down the American lecture route because
we won't mention Smeagol across the way.
No, I surely won't.
I have a rule of acquisition for him though, so don't worry.
I'm excited to see that. It's page 25.
No, it was page 7. I found a better one.
Oh right. Well, don't. Yeah. What was the one you were going to read?
That was the one I was going to read. Yeah. This is the one I'm really going to read. It's on page 79. No, it's on page.
But read the one you were going to read.
Oh, read the one I was going to read. Oh, okay. Page 25. The rule of acquisition number 44. Never confuse wisdom with luck. Was a good one. That was going to read. But I'm going to go with instead the 266th rule of acquisition on page 79.
At the end. Save that for the end.
So,
brilliant.
Okay.
I suppose the one really thing that grind my gears. Peter.
Speaking of Family Guy,
I don't know. This, your man is a Seamus Wolfe,
the judge of the Supreme Court. Yeah,
so he's refused to resign, and now basically all the other Supreme Court judges.
Yeah,
the High Court.
The High Court.
Is it the High Court? I think it's the High Court. The other judges have distanced themselves now from.
Well, the thing is this. It's kind of like on the Supreme Court. Me and you and 4 others, right, could be on the Supreme Court, and that's 6 judges, but one of them has to be the chair of the Supreme Court. So I think it might have been the chair of the Supreme Court has asked him to resign. And he said
he wouldn't. But they compromised on a 3-month suspension with I don't know if it was without or with pay.
Yeah.
But
I think he said he would donate his salary for that time to a charitable organisation if it felt necessary.
I suppose just what was getting me is that basically this has been dragged on. Just come on, just get a conclusion. But it's hitting the government now because they have to be able to it's called a separation of power. So it's a tricky one because the government obviously can't. They don't. Obviously, they come up with laws and they ratify them, whatever. But they can't really reach in and say, right, no, you're gone. You're gone.
They have the power to impeach.
They do.
A Supreme Court judge, but it has to be.
There is a rule there.
Yeah, it has to be. I think like a really egregious breach of
conduct
and all that. And it has to be like horrendous.
Yeah.
I
can't remember exactly the terminology for this specific rule, but it's really vague.
It has to be, I think, an overall majority of the Dáil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It can't just be like the government or the Taoiseach has decided.
Just do it on a whim.
And his party have it. You have to get, I think it's 2/3 or nearly more. So that includes the opposition has to be on board with it. Well, they're due to have a conversation with the other two, with Fine Gael, with Radker and your man, the Greens party leader. Yeah, and I think Mary Lou is involved in that. I imagine she would be. Because I mean, she has 30 odd seats as well, so they're like the 3rd largest party in the Dáil. Anyway, so I mean, I think it's that those 4 groups make up. 70 odd percent of. I just found the whole, like at the beginning of it with Golfgate and everything a couple of months ago back or however long it was just annoying. It was just like these people think that they're above the rule of law across the land, whereas other people are suffering and not being able to see their loved ones and things like that. And it just was, it was just smacked of one rule for us, one rule for them, and this is just dragging on now. And it was just like, come on, just make a decision, stick with it, and just get on with it instead of just constantly coming back. If it was me, no, I wouldn't remove a Supreme Court judge for that. It was a piece of utter stupidity, but it's not an egregious breach of they had whatever for their job. Like, I would like that. I'd censor him publicly, make him apologise, and then deduct pay from him for 6, 9 months, 12 months, whatever. But I think the majority of what the problem is now afterwards is his whole attitude to it. He basically has said, again, I don't know word for word, that he didn't feel like he did anything wrong. He was following guidelines that he thought were in place and that the hotel were abiding by in relation to the event, the dinner after the golf. The golf is fine because they're out in the open, they can social distance, blah, blah, blah. But it was the dinner afterwards. Yeah. And he thought that they were in line with COVID regulations and things like that. He was told this.
And he said that he's done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Now he has done something wrong, obviously, but I think people are getting more upset and angry with his management of his response to the whole thing.
And that's the thing about it is
his attitude, basically.
He would have been a solicitor and then
he was Attorney General.
And then eventually Supreme Court judge. I mean, the thing is, it's that kind of only solicitors can become judges, and then I think that's how it goes. You have to be a member of the Law Society and all this kind of thing to get promoted up. And they have this mentality of, no, I'm not going to admit I'm wrong. No, prove I'm wrong. No, see, it was the letter there. I didn't do anything wrong. And you're just like, dude, just be like, do you know what? Yeah, I'm really sorry. I should have known better. Blah blah blah. I'll donate 3 months' salary to the thing, and I'm really sorry. And then just move on. People would have went.
I'm sorry. That's a South Park, right? Sorry. BPO, wasn't it?
We're sorry.
We're sorry.
We're so sorry. Speaking of South Park, like I love those integrity weed episodes they've done with Randy and Stan. They had the integrity farm. The Marshes had the farm. They're growing weed up in Colorado. You haven't watched any of
the newer ones now.
Oh God, you are missing it all. Randy got really. We went from talking about a Supreme Court judge to South Park, but Randy Marsh, he got fed up of living in Colorado in South Park with all the crap that was going on. I'm going out, get some integrity. We're going to move my family, good old fashioned living on a farm, and grow some weed. It's just like, he does, and it's called Integrity Weed, and it's just brilliant. And a few of the episodes have been, they did the Halloween special, which was a Halloween special episode, it was an extra long episode, and he made a set of weed called the Halloween special, but it was contaminated weed. They got everybody psychosis, and it would turn them into zombies, and he had to go kill them. There was another one, it was the Christmas special, I think it was a year before that, and then there was the COVID special, and it turned out that him jerking off onto the weed would actually cure people of COVID, but it gave them a Randy Marsh mustache. And at the end of the episode, the wife was like, he wakes up and he looks at her and he goes, "So, you don't like my weed, do you?" And she looks at him and goes, "No," and she has a mustache. "I don't like your fucking weed." And he goes, "Yeah, whatever the fuck you think, Karen." And he just walks out because she's got her mustache. Karen, that was it.
So she had to smoke it, like.
She had to smoke it, yeah. And he's there, and all you can see was him in his little tent at the end of his driveway, and the tent is like, oh, and the tent is wobbling, and he's like, oh God, here you go, wait, I need another 5 or 6 minutes, oh God. And it's just he's jerking off onto all of the weed, selling it to people for COVID.
Remember the episode where he thought he had a disease because he was an alcoholic? I can't stop drinking. And then the statue of the Virgin Mary that was bleeding, but it turns out it was just her time of the month.
No, I don't remember that. Oh wow, I did not remember that episode.
And there was basically a long queue of sick people who were queuing to get sprayed with blood from the statue of the Virgin Mary.
And who was the Virgin Mary?
It was just a statue.
Oh right, okay.
It wasn't a person. It was just a statue at a church somewhere in the country that was bleeding. But it turned out that she was just in time of the month. I was just like, seriously, it's just
change.
No, I genuinely need some change. Can I take some of yours?
Can I have some of your change? Sir, I need your change.
I answered the door and there was, no, I'm not going to try to do an impression of a black person. That would be highly inappropriate. Remember the Loch Ness Monster? I saw that this
I needed about 350.
This brownie was 3 stories tall. This brownie, what do you call those brownie girls? That go around selling the cookies in America.
Girl
Scouts. I saw that this Girl Scout was 3 stories tall. Hey, I'm not giving you no $3.50. What's $3.50? $3.50. Oh,
brilliant! Yeah. South Park are the
shit. They are. They're very, very good. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
It's very good. Final Space. You never seen that, did you?
Final Space.
It's another animated show. Now it's kind of for adults. It's kind of, I'd say it's like 15. It was on Netflix.
It was on Netflix, or it still is?
Chuckity poo.
No, I haven't seen it. No. I'm kind of like one. No, I haven't seen it. I'm just wondering, was it on Netflix? Because there's a few of them. There's Paradise PD.
There's a couple that are similar looking.
Like that, and then there's Archer and there's South Park and all. And I'm kind of like, Jesus.
Yeah, and it's a fairly recent one. It just popped into my head there. I love it. I think it's really good. But
season 4, the second half of season 4 of Rick and Morty is coming back to Netflix. It's either the end of the month. I think it's the end of November or start of December.
Excellent. Yeah, can't
wait.
Just
in time for Christmas.
The Christmas miracle.
Turn myself on with pickle. Morty, shit! I fucked it. I screwed it up. Oh God! And I tried not to curse too. Yeah. Screwed it up. I was trying to
say. Dang it!
I was trying to say I turned myself into a pickle, Morty, and I went to turn myself into a pickle. Crap! What's his name? I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
A pickle Rick.
Pickle Rick!
Wubba lubba dub dub. In my language, that means he's in extreme pain.
And he turned.
I'm Tiny Rick!
They made him into a Borg, didn't they? A bird person.
Did they?
Yes.
Was he part of that when it was that episode?
Galactic Federation.
Yeah, with Unity.
No, not the episode with Unity. It's the episode with Summer's friend marries him and it turns out she's an agent of the Federation.
Yeah, at the wedding.
At their wedding.
Did they turn him into a Borg though?
No, but he got killed.
Yes.
And the Federation brought him back at the end of one of the episodes, and what do you call himself? The cyborg, formerly known as Bird Person or something like that. Or no, it's the Phoenix or something. Phoenix Person. I think it's Phoenix Person because he rolls from the action and when he has one Borg eye, the red with the laser. That is going to be awesome.
Nippy.
It's going to be awesome.
Tippy.
Yes. So you were telling me, I know we haven't done any prep for it, but just so we can elucidate to
another episode.
What we're going to do in another episode was about Star Trek: The Next Generation. Which I have to admit, I watched all of them when I was younger, but I spent most of my time on Deep Space Nine and to a lesser extent Voyager. I'm gonna
say what the episode is, but it's episode 1, season 1, episode 22 or 3, I believe, or 21. It's in the 20s, the early 20s. Let me have a look, and I will tell you exactly what it is.
Because it was really interesting when you pitched it to me earlier. It was a really interesting bit of topic.
It is. It's fast. I forgot.
If you go to your recently watched,
it's called Symbiosis. It's episode 21. I was right. Season 1, episode 21. It's really good. It's a great episode. I'd forgotten how good it was until I rewatched it. I rewatched Star Trek the whole time. Nicola says I'm a loser for it, but look,
so it's only your wife.
It's only my wife, who I love with all my heart. Yeah. I do. But not, look, she probably is, or I am a bit of a loser. But I do love Star Trek, and it's not going to change.
But it was the episode with the people who were the two planets. One was providing a cure for disease, medicine, and the other ones were like
addicted to
drug addicts. Yeah.
But we won't go into too deep detail.
No,
but that's the episode we
want
to.
It's a really cool one.
Yeah, I want to do a bit of prep work. I want to rewatch it, and then kind of do a bit of comparative work around what it's about, and then kind of looking at drug use now versus drug use back in the 80s when it was actually made, and see what the levels were like then and now and stuff. And just to kind of but it was really good because it kind of even in the 24th century that it's a federation and all its values and that drug use was still in a form in other worlds was still something that they were encountering.
One of my favourites was, again, like I said, Deep Space Nine, but it was the episodes with Michael Eddington. The two episodes, the one, I can't remember the names of them, and I will look them up for later on.
Yeah, that could be an episode we could do
half an episode. But it's just to talk about it, because you were talking about the Federation and drug usage and in the peoples outside the Federation and everything. It reminded me of that speech Eddington had with Cisco about how the reason you hate me is not because I betrayed the uniform or betrayed Starfleet or even betrayed you, is because you hate the Maquis. That was it. Because we left Paradise. Who leaves Paradise? Yeah. He said the Almighty Federation. Who leaves? Paradise? And this kind of thing. And they were really good episodes because, like, the Maquis wanted to declare themselves. If it wasn't for the Dominion, they would have an independent nation.
Nation, yeah.
And like the Federation hounded them and chased after them and called them terrorists and everything else. Because to a point, it wasn't that they were trying to protect the treaty with the Cardassians. It was because they had left the Federation. Who leaves us?
Yeah, how dare you?
Yeah. We created a utopian society.
Why would you want to do that? Yeah. Come back to us. It was almost like do you ever watch Firefly?
I've seen it. Yeah.
That whole idea of I can't remember what they're called in, but there was obviously at the beginning of it. There's the war between
the separatists and the Federation.
The Federation, the entity. Now the Federation is technically not really evil, but obviously they do hold themselves in a very much a high regard and whatever. But within Firefly, there's the similar organisation who are kind of evil, but they basically are the same. They are trying to encompass all worlds into their system and control
the alliance with the Federation.
Whatever.
But the thing is, I remember that book I gave you a lend that you still haven't finished reading was Stitch in Time.
Yeah,
about Garrett.
To finish it. Yeah.
And there's a great part in it where it's either that book or a different one, but I think it's that one because he, being a member of the Obsidian Order, was talking to a Federation spy. And it was his first interaction with a Federation spy as a junior officer in the Obsidian Order. He was only a teenager. And he was having he was playing a role of pretending to be stupid and going along with what your man was telling him and everything. And he was letting your man lecture him about how, because he pretended that one of the other operatives with him was mentally ill.
Yeah.
And that your man asked, what do you do with people who are mentally ill in Cardassia? He's like, oh, we shut them away in asylums because they're an embarrassment to their family. And you could see the look of disgust on the human's face. He said, when in actual fact we don't. We treat them very well and see their mental illness as an actual mystery that we can help them try and solve and all this kind of thing. And we treat them very, very well. He said, but that, self-righteous condemnation you had and all this. And he said, how the Federation gives out to us about, conquering planets like Bajor and things like this, when we're trying to secure resources and build our union.
Our empire.
Yeah, our empire, our union. And he said, and yet there they are, building the biggest galactic empire in the entire Alpha and Beta quadrant.
Just in a different way.
Just in a different way. I mean, the Federation, if you look at the map with the Klingons, Romulans, and Cardassians, forget the Breen area, but just those 4 powers, the Federation spans 2 quadrants, and it's massive.
Yeah.
I mean, there was what do you call it? There was that episode with where they were fighting the Klingons were fighting the Cardassians. Worf said to Gowron, do you really think you could fight the Federation and the Cardassians at the same time? The Cardassians being a third-rate power now. I mean, they're not up to much. The Klingons were kicking their ass.
Yeah.
But he said, you really think you can fight the Federation and them? He said, the Empire can't defeat the Federation. No. That says something. I mean, the Dominion couldn't fucking defeat them. They were massive.
They were close enough to do it.
Close enough, but they were massive and big.
The prophets.
Yeah, they do. It is.
Oh,
it's a benevolent evil that kind of encompasses you all.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got off. That was really.
It's
cool.
It's good.
It was
kind of like the Borg nearly. It's like they do it in a more subtle way, though. At least the Borg kind of, they're open and honest. Look, we want to assimilate you. Resistance is futile. Come on, man.
Eddington actually said that. He said, in some ways, you're worse
than the Borg.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least they tell you they're going to assimilate you. Yeah. But that's the thing. I mean, that episode would be really cool.
Yeah, I just think it for its time and the message that it was getting across. And I always remember there was an interaction between Wesley Crusher. Shut up, Wesley.
Shut up, Will.
Shut up, Will. What was your one's name? The tactical officer, Tasha Yar. He was really querying, like, how can someone become so dependent on drugs? And that whole speech that she gave him was brilliant. It was just like, well, no one sets out to become dependent on it, but when you are surrounded by hopelessness and nothing but darkness and destruction and loneliness, you want to be able to get yourself out of it. So people do it as an escape, and then they don't do it to make themselves feel good. They do it to stop making themselves feel bad.
Yeah.
So it's and then it obviously becomes a dependency. Their body gets used to it. They need it to survive, just to feel normal, just to get them to baseline. It's not to make themselves feel happy anymore. It's just not to make themselves feel like shit.
Yeah.
I just thought for the time, and it definitely alluded to, like, pharmaceutical companies creating these products, not to cure things, but to keep up the trends.
Yeah, that part did. I mean, the drug, the speech she was giving was talking about like heroin and crack cocaine. And things. People do it because they're born into poverty and they surrounded by
but then there's a piece with Picard and the interactions with
the rich society and the poor society. Yeah. I know we did no prep work, but we're doing a really good job on it. But it's really cool.
And then I thought it fascinating because the Prime Directive protected the rich guys, and they kind of knew, once they understood the Prime Directive, the piece around non-interference. And then obviously Dr. Crusher was like, but we can't let them keep suffering, the other side, the poor aliens. And then Picard was very clever in the use of it. So he said to the poor aliens, we're allowing you to have the medicine, and the 2 rich aliens were all smiles, we're going to let you have it for nothing, we can talk about payment later. Felicium, that was the name of the drug.
Yeah.
And basically the poor guys, they have a fleet of cargo ships that they use to transport the drugs. The rich guys don't have any, because actually years and years ago it was the opposite. The poor aliens were actually the ones that had all the advanced technology. And the other guys had nothing, and they still don't have the means of transportation through the stars and space. So, but I'm getting to a point here. The poor aliens had lost the knowledge of how to fix their ships,
and he took back the parts that he gave them
based on the Prime Directive. And then the rich aliens realised, shit, we can't. This is the last batch of Felicium that we're going to be able to deliver. So basically, in the turbo lift, then when they beamed them down, Dr. Crusher said, I see what you did, but they're still going to suffer. They're going to, they're going to think they're going to die, but they're obviously going to go to cold turkey. Yes, but they'll hopefully get through it, and that's the risk we just have to take. What's the alternative? That we give them the coils to fix their ships and
keep going.
And
the thing about it is, really curious if they ever did more Next Generation or continued on a Star Trek series. Where if they ever recap back with them to see if those guys got off their drug dependency and realized the other guys had been screwing them, and then rebuilt their fleet and then
attacked them
became
colonized them.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, I mean, historically, whenever people get really desperate like that, they swing to the fringes of the military fascism or communism or whatever. And I'd be curious to see how that one ended.
She's like that meme I sent you there with communism. It was above the wall.
It's all perfect and happy. It's like a little unicorn and underneath it's all like that was brilliant. That was
very good. But I just thought it was a brilliant episode. It really got me thinking, and it was.
The Next Generation did a lot of that. They did one for terrorism as well. Yeah. Can you remember the guys who could beam in and out?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Those were pretty cool episodes.
Yeah, then a couple of I think the last episode I watched was the one where Tashiar dies. That was very sad actually, and I love the kind of little speech at the end that she makes when they're in the holodeck, and she's like talking to each of them. She pre-recorded because obviously I imagine a lot of people in that kind of position. I probably do it now, like military people record messages or write letters,
record messages to their families,
to their families and that. So that was a holodeck, recorded message that she made to each of them, and it was just really. Yeah, brought a couple of tears to my eyes now. People are going to be calling me a loser now, but I don't care.
Remember what episode it was of Deep Space Nine where Miles O'Brien did that. He recorded messages for his wife. He said, "I'm on my 12th. I'm up to like 2 a year now or something." But it was what episode was it where he's in his quarters and he's in the quarters on the Defiant, and he's like, I meet these new people now, and I keep saying to myself, "Don't get too close. Yeah. Don't and that reminds me of Band of Brothers.
Never watched this.
You never watched Band of Brothers? It's brilliant.
David Schwimmer's in it, isn't he?
Yes, he was. He was in the first 1 or 2 episodes, but the rest of them follows this company of the paratroopers during World War II. Yeah. And they're at the Battle of the Bulge, which was in the Ardennes forest, and it was winter and everything. I think we were surrounded by the Germans and all that. But anyway, one of the soldiers there, he said, "I see a lot of replacements." He said, "I don't want to." And the man comes up and he goes, "Hey, I'm what?" He goes, "I don't want to know your name." By that stage, you could see in him the uniform was in tatters and everything, and he just said, "I don't want to know your name," because it's just like too many of them get killed. Yeah, and that's the thing. During the Dominion War, you might say, "Don't get close to them. Don't let them get close. Just keep your head down. You got through the last war. You get through this one. Just
There was a great episode around the Dominion War as well, when they were on the planet and they were trying to relieve the
siege of AR-558.
Yeah, savage.
But that always irritated me. That whole episode irritated me. In that, why didn't the Federation ever have repeating heavy weapons? What is it with just phasers? I mean, where was a machine gun? You know what I mean? Like, because I would have had that entire. They were trying to cover a cave entrance. Yes. I'd have had a machine gun at each edge, right? And the reason you put them at the edge is like they did in World War One. Getting back to Blackadder, because we're nearly at 41 minutes. Okay, so we will wrap up. Is that in Blackadder they put machine guns at either end of the trenches, so that when the guys came, they could. They could swivel the machine gun like that and swivel across and just have a overlapping spray of fire. Yeah. And they mowed down the guys. Yeah. But that's the thing, I would have had, like, where were the repeating, heavy weapons that they could have had? They were just using phaser rifles. Oh my god.
I mean, come on, man.
They didn't even believe in anti-personnel mines.
I know, yeah.
Oh, that just bugged me.
Federation, God.
Doesn't do it. I mean, like little there's mines like that are called shoe bombs. And they're designed just to blow your foot off. They won't kill you.
Won't kill you, but
they just blow your foot off because it takes 2 guys to carry you out. I mean, there's anyway.
Warfare.
Right. Okay. Getting back to something a little bit funny. For finishing up on Star Trek, and we're going to.
Do we have? Will we tell our viewers about our other idea?
Oh, yeah, fire away. Go ahead. I'll try and find my.
It was on an ad actually. I was out walking my dog there the other evening, and there was an ad. I think it was for Christmas, and they said something, and it just clicked in my head. Biscuit tin. The biscuit tin.
Wasn't the M&S ad, was it?
What?
This is the singing biscuit.
This is the short biscuit tin.
This is
and whatever way she said it, biscuit tin. It just rolls off the tongue. Yeah. Lovely.
This is a very, very good idea, actually.
Yeah. Well, you jumped on it, so it was kind of a 50-50.
But I loved it.
I thought it was when I thought of biscuit tins, I thought of obviously Christmas time and biscuit. But then I was like, right, what do people do with biscuit tins after they've ate all the biscuits? We use it for storing shit around the house.
Yeah. Dead batteries, keys to houses you've moved out of.
Sewing needles, threads, all that kind of crap, bits of other things, and it just
key to a padlock you no longer have a padlock for.
The padlock that you no longer have the key for. But I just I thought it was a cool name for a podcast. Yeah. But then you thought, well, why don't we do like a series it's still going to be the Chocolate or Poo podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do the Biscuit Tin episode, kind of like our.
Well, the thing is, we'll kick off the Biscuit Tin episode.
Series.
The Biscuit Tin episode series can be where you put ideas in,
so
and we roll
idea
it
with
and pull something out, and we talk about that.
Yeah.
But we have to get a Biscuit Tin to put the ideas in first, which brings us back to the finer things in life, which I think we should do because it'll be Christmas. A Christmas Biscuit Tin episode.
We can have goodies in it.
Yeah, little shortbread, some gingerbread men, little mince pies, the whole shebang. Let's really push out the boat and raise the cholesterol.
Merging two ideas, because the original idea for that episode of the finer things was to critique mince pies from different shops, but this ties in with the Biscuit Tin.
Yeah, perfect. Because the thing is, we can get ourselves a nice Biscuit Tin then. Of whatever, but we get a little bit of gingerbread man, and we can get some mince pies, and we can really push out the finer things in life.
Pudding.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We can pull ideas out of your Biscuit Tin then, and it's just like if you think of something on a Tuesday, but just I'm writing that down, I'm sticking that in there. Yeah. Next week I'm going to throw it in there, and if we don't talk about it for 6 months, that's fine. But just whatever.
The other idea, we're full of ideas.
We're full of ideas.
We're also full of shit.
Is
I was mentioned to you about an idea I had for like a children's stories series called Tups and Pups. So Tups McDribbles is a baby detective based on my son, who I call Tups. Hey Tups. And Pups is my dog, Bill. Yes. But I came up with Tups and Pups. I can't think of a surname for Pups yet.
It's a working
progress.
Title, yeah.
I'm okay at arts and ideas. I'm going to do the sketches and come up with little short stories, and we'll record the stories, the pages, and then we'll do the voiceover work. So another extension of the Chocolate or Poo franchise.
Exactly.
Franchise. Chocolate or Poo.
Yes.
So on that note, we will adjourn episode 8.
Exactly.
I still have not uploaded episode 7, so this might be a double header.
Double whammy, yeah.
Double whammy. So,
but that's okay. You can watch them all in order.
Real time.
You can watch them on the Chocolate or Poo channel, or you can watch them on my video game channel, because I do have a playlist of them as they go up. So and it'll be uploaded. I will promote it on Twitter.
Yes. I've just got video editing. Free software, so I'm going to try and put a little thing in the front at the start of it that you gave me.
And a little shout out to the guy who gave us that. It'll be on episode 7 and episode 8, which is this one. It is a little video thing where it rises up, and it is a poo, and it's called the Chocolate or Poo podcast.
And it's lovely. It's very simple.
It's from a great poet that I actually want to get on the podcast eventually.
That's another idea that we'll do with special guests.
His name is Paddy Mitchell. Yes,
check him out.
Check him out. It's poetry by Paddy, and I want to get him on the podcast anyway.
So read out our Trump.
Okay, because the Americans had an election and Donald Trump, very briefly, won't concede the election. I didn't lose. It's all a lie. Stop counting the votes. They fake news.
Where's our Trump?
Right. Oh yes. Where is El Donald? There you are. There you are. El Donald Trump. So Donald, this 266th Ferengi rule of acquisition is just for you. When in doubt, lie.
And on that note, this has been the Chocolate or Poo podcast. Don't forget to flush.